reversible. I wish someone had told me that high blood pressure is reversible. I wish someone had told me type 2 diabetes is reversible. I wish someone told me that inflammatory arthritis is reversible. But not only that, that a whole food plant-based diet is the key to that reversal. It isn't going to get better on a carnivore diet, but they sure will get better on a plant-based diet. And I think somebody should tell the medical students this before pharmacosclerosis sets into their brains and they think that drugs and surgery are the only treatment.
So, welcome everybody. We are here today with Dr. Klaper, who has been in medicine for over 50 years, right?
Yeah, you bet. They go by fast. Enjoy every
Yes.
one.
Yes, and we also have a new book coming out. Yes,
Yes, we do. Moving medicine forward. Mhm.
great. Just a little bit of background about you, and you can sort of interject whenever you want. I love that you advised NASA on nutritional needs. Tell me a little bit about that. That's so cool.
Oh my. This goes back to 1986. I had written a little book. I was just starting medical practice as a vegan, and I was getting lots of people coming to me with questions about it. So I made up a series of handouts that eventually turned into a thin little book. I entitled it Vegan Nutrition Pure and Simple. It's just basically how to do a vegan diet and get all the nutrients you need. Well, little did I know at the same time, NASA was starting to ramp up their program to put space colonists long term on the moon and on Mars. And they're doing all the calculations as far as how to feed these space colonists. Well, it turns out the physics and economics dictate that to put anything in low Earth orbit costs $16,000 a pound of whatever it is. Well, they soon realized that they weren't going to be rocketing 800-pound dairy cows up to the moon with 80-pound bales of hay. That's very expensive yogurt. So they realized to their horror that their space colonists were going to have to be vegan. And they had no idea what to feed a vegan human being. Well, it turns out that my little green vegan nutrition book found their way into the hands of the daughter of one of the engineers at NASA. And she gave it to her dad, said, gee, this guy seems to know something about the subject. So my phone rings and it's the NASA Space Center down in Houston saying, we hear you know something about feeding human beings on a plant-based diet. How'd you like to come down to Johnson Space Center here and work with us and help us get our nutrition program started? Well, when your country calls, I'm not, no, I'm too busy, So found myself on a plane going to Houston and for almost 3 weeks lived at the Johnson Space Center there working with their nutritionists, their soil engineers, their weight and balance engineers, etc. And we worked out all the nutritional values, the calorie density for potatoes and greens and beans and things that will actually grow there. And we came up with a serviceable program based on starches and proteins from legumes, etc. And after 3 weeks working with the dietitians, I said, "Okay, doc, we got this. We understand how to do that." And gave everybody a nice hug and flew back to California and stayed in touch with them for several months after that to help them stay on track there. But that was my contribution to the space program. And now every time the International Space Station goes over, and I know they're growing their greens up there, I wave. You're welcome, guys. It's glad to help. But that was my foray into space nutrition with NASA.
That's amazing. And did it change some people's perspective then because they were forced to eat this way?
Yes, whether it's begrudging it or not, I don't know. But there was this movie a few years ago with Matt Damon, The Martian, and he
Yeah.
wound up stranded on Mars and he had to grow his own food. And so there he was growing potatoes. And I think, you're welcome, Matt. Yes, it's going to be true everywhere. They're not going to be eating meat up there. I mean, it's just totally impractical. It's a human endeavor, woefully confined to planet Earth here.
But and that was a great movie too.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, what?
you have been pretty much a pioneer in this space as far as nutrition and being a doctor, where so many doctors are very not understanding of this plant-based way to live. How did you come to that? What made you make that switch?
Oh my. Well, several forces converged. I had been in general practice for about 8 years and got so discouraged because despite my earnest admonitions to my patient, take your blood pressure pills, take your insulin, they were all getting fatter and sicker and getting heart attacks and strokes. I felt like a failure as a GP. So I left general practice and decided to become an anesthesiologist. And I did almost 3 years as an anesthesia resident, and I was on the cardiovascular anesthesia service where uh, dealing with people's hearts and blood vessels. And day after day, I'm putting people to sleep and watching surgeons open their chest and open their coronary arteries in their heart and pull out this yellow guck called atherosclerosis. This is 1980. And there were already studies in the medical journals saying that one, this stuff is largely the fat and cholesterol of the animals these people are eating. And two, there are studies already showing reports that a plant-based diet could melt away this plaque. And so I was getting messages that I started paying attention to because my dad died of clogged arteries. I know I've got those genes. And before I was had my body laying on that operating table with that striker cell going up my sternum, I said, I don't want to do that. So I changed to a plant-based diet. Well, my body loved it. Within 12 weeks, a 20-pound spare tire of fat melted off my waist. My high blood pressure went to normal. My cholesterol went to normal. I felt great waking up in a nice lean body every day. And at that point, I realized why all my patients were getting fatter and sicker. It's from what they're running through their arteries every 4 hours. It's the food, it's the food, it's the food. No one mentioned that to me. They're still not mentioning it in medical school. So I decided at that point I did want to be an anesthesiologist and spend my career putting people to sleep. I'd rather go back to general practice and help them wake up, right? And so I did, much to my parents' dismay. Do you know the money you are giving up as an It didn't matter. I'm a GP at heart, and wasn't in truth for me to stay in anesthesia. So I went back to general practice, found some people in my area who could give plant-based cooking lessons, and I sent my patients to them. And those who adopted the plant-based diet experienced the same wonderful changes I did. They got leaner, their blood pressures came down, their cholesterol came down, and I could get them off their medications that were told that they must take these pills the rest of your life for blood pressure. And nonsense. Not only can you get these patients off their insulin and off their blood pressure pills, you have to get them off before they stand up and their blood pressure drops through their boots and they pass out from low blood pressure. You have to get them off these pills. Well, this is the most exciting kind of medicine in the world to practice. So your patients get healthy right before your eyes. And at that point, there's no going back. You can't unring the bell. I became a plant-based physician, and that was 41 years ago, and I have no regrets. It's the most exciting kind of practice, medical practice to have. And I'm thinking, somebody should tell the medical students this. I went through all my medical school training, my residency. Nobody mentioned to me that one, most of these diseases are reversible. I wish someone had told me that high blood pressure is reversible. I wish someone had told me type 2 diabetes is reversible. I wish someone told me that inflammatory arthritis is reversible. But not only that a whole food plant-based diet is the key to that reversal. It isn't going to get better on a carnivore diet, but it sure will get better on a plant-based diet. And I think somebody should tell the medical students this before pharmacosclerosis sets into their brains and they think that drugs and surgery are the only treatment. I think someone should tell the medical students that. And little voice on my shoulder says, "How about you, doc?" And so for the last 4 years, I've been going to the nation's medical schools and giving the lecture, what I wish I learned in medical school about nutrition. And we go through the science. How does a plant-based diet reverse hypertension? How does it reverse type 2 diabetes? How does it cool off these inflammatory diseases? You know, these young docs, rightly so, say, show me the science. Otherwise, it's all just California woo-woo stuff. Show me, well, there's solid science behind it. And once they see it, I tell them this is the most powerful tool you will ever wield as a physician. So please incorporate this into your basic medical practice and find a plant-based dietitian near you. And there's getting to be more and more of them. And I'm saying when you're in your own medical clinic, don't raise a lot of chaos while you're still a student. But when you're out in your own practice, find a plant-based dietitian, even in your same state. They don't even have to be in the same city because it works so beautifully with telemedicine. And I tell the young docs in practice, be a good doctor. When you see have a new patient, take a medical history, do your physical exam, or do your labs, and review the scans, make a diagnosis. If you need to, get them on medications. But before you dismiss the patient at that first visit, you hand them the contact information for a plant strong dietitian. Say, this is Miss Smith or Mr. Jones. Contact them, do a telemedicine consultation with them. They're going to talk to you about what to eat. They'll send you handouts. They'll give you videos to watch. You eat like they are telling you. And then you come back and see me in a month. Let's see if you're not leaner and healthier. And we'll talk about getting off these medications. And I think that's how medicine should be practiced in the 21st century. I want to put this new model into their heads. And because we've been holding the dietitian at arm's length, rightly so, they've been largely just mouthpieces for the meat and dairy industry. But now there's an awakening happening in the dietetic profession. And we're seeing more and more dietitians who they're aware of the plant-based diet to reverse disease. And if you just Google plant vegan dietitians in my area, your screen will fill up with them. And they're the ones that doctors need to connect with and refer them, pull them onto their primary care treatment team, and will change the face of Western medicine. And people actually get healthy after going to the doctor instead of just getting more medications.
Right. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I still feel like there is such that missing piece of the medical profession, medical world. I mean, it sounds like from what you're saying, it is changing, but is it
It is.
changing fast enough?
No, it is not. And we're still, nutrition is not being taught during standard medical school education. The professors don't know anything about it. And they find lots of reasons. Oh, it's cultural. You know, I can't talk to a Hispanic patient about what to eat. I can't talk to a South Indian patient about what to eat. It's a yes, doctor. They all get the same heart attacks. They all get the same thing. You do need to talk to them. And their cultural traditions already have a strong plant-based origin. The folks from India know how to make vegetable curries. The Hispanic folks know how to make bean burritos. It's there if you just do a little work to help them make this transition. And again, that's what the plant-based dietitians can do. You don't people say the doctors say, well, I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't have time to do this counseling. I don't get paid for it. You don't have to, doctor. That's what the plant-based dietitian is for. If you need to, the patient should hire a health coach for just a couple of months, just to get started. You don't have to incorporate them into your life forever, but a couple of months of someone to go shopping with you, to show you how to steam vegetables, show you how to cook rice, makes all the difference to have a tutor with there. And people can make this transition. You can do it as quickly or as gradually as you want. Just move along that plant-based continuum. But my profession is it's a big bottleneck. Because the doctors are eating it themselves, they like that T-bone steak, they like that fried chicken. They're not going to tell their patients don't eat it, but the doctors are getting fatter and sicker, and they're getting heart attacks and strokes. No, they're not immune either. So again, I want to reach the young medical students and share the wonderful science and clinical benefits of this. And every time I give that lecture, mostly by Zoom now, They are very enthusiastic. It's an easy sell for these young students. They're aware of it, and so it's an exciting time. But you're right. I shouldn't have to be doing this. It should be part of the medical school curriculum, and we are working with the National Board of Medical Examiners to start asking nutrition-based questions on their national board exams, and with various medical schools to start incorporating nutrition in general with plant-based nutrition into the family practice residencies, into the internal medicine residencies. And so it's slowly happening, but late to the party, but better than not being there at all.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a health coach, a plant-based health coach for a doctor's office, and the doctor is always pushing me, and I am always pushing the opposite. So there's this friction between our voices, and they're always like, "Well, the doctor said," and I hate to, I don't want to, give the doctor a bad rap, but it's like he didn't study it. All he thinks about is, the protein, and he doesn't understand, like, yes,
Exactly.
it's
Back in the
protein, yes,
1950s.
but the plant-based proteins and just the plant world is you're taking out the middleman. That's where the protein gets all of their protein. That's where the animals get their protein. Take out the middleman. Plus,
Exactly.
then you're getting fiber and all those nutrients and feeding the gut microbiome. It's like all these things that they just think that protein and the animal protein just takes all that away. And it's like you're missing out on all these amazing nutrients.
Indeed. And
Anyway,
you're
we
getting
could we could talk about that forever.
Sure, exactly. And it's embarrassing when I hear that, when I hear Dasha, oh, another one. And because it really does a lot of damage. And the man he's in the 1950s with our his nutrition understanding. And we've advanced way beyond that. And the biggest, most powerful animals on the planet, gorillas and elephants and buffaloes, it's all get all their protein from plants. That's where the protein is. And as you're saying, it's way beyond protein. It's the whole food stream moving through. We are plant-eating hominids. In my slide presentation, students, I've got a picture of a gorilla and a human there, and we have fingers on our hands, not claws. We don't have big fangs on our teeth for carrying flesh. We were plant-eating hominids, and to eat the diet of the mountain lion, which is what the carnivore folks are pushing. You fill the human intestine up with animal flesh 2, 3 times a day. That is a recipe for an epidemic of colon cancer from all the carcinogens that are going to get smeared on the gut wall, for heart attacks and strokes from all the TMAO and that damages the artery walls that's going to get generated. All the bacteria in the gut from a meat-based diet is highly inflammatory. They're going to get Crohn's disease and colitis, the atherosclerosis in their brain. They're going to get vascular dementia. It's a diet of death, in a way they're to be pushing this. And so we're in this, but with Mr. Kennedy, the head of HHS now, we've even inverted the food pyramid. Now that you can eat all the meat you want, you can eat all the dairy you want, that full fat dairy product, saturated fat is good for you. And we're watching this happen in abject horror. But what keeps me from jumping off the bridge is that Mother Nature doesn't care about our politics and industrial influence here. We are plant-eating hominids, and if we violate that natural law 3 times a day, there's going to be consequences, as I mentioned, and and it's not going to be long. A year at the most, 12 months, 18 months at the most. I guarantee you're going to see the articles start showing up in the medical journals. The carnivore diet associated increased colon cancer risk. The paleo diet increased vascular dementia risk. And my left eyebrow will not go up that much. Yep, that's right. Knew that was going to happen. And the pendulum will swing back. Those veggie burgers are going to start looking pretty good at that point, and it'll be on the 6 o'clock news. And the doctors will finally start speaking up. The emergency room docs, we're getting more heart attacks and strokes in. The cardiologists are going to complain. I got more heart attacks. I know how to handle here. Yeah, believe Mother Nature's got a way of smoothing things out, of rebalancing the scales here. So despair not. And that's why the most important people in the health the progress movement is you and all the podcasters, because it's a matter of educating the public. We've got enough studies. Yeah, we know plant-based diets lower blood pressure, all that stuff. It's educating the public. Yeah, and I tell them the average person has 2 points in their weekly life where they can really control things. One is when they are pushing that cart down the supermarket aisle and deciding what goes in that basket. And if we stop buying the meat and we stop buying the dairy, those industries are going to change. But more importantly, we'll be healthier. And in the restaurant. And I say, well, every time you've got that menu in front of you and you look at the wait person, say, I'll have the beef, I'll have the lamb, I'll have the veal. Every time you say those words, your children's world gets a little hotter, a little drier, a little deader. If you want a viable planet, and I say, and I've got a slide saying it doesn't matter what your cholesterol level is if we don't have a habitable planet to live on. And people are saying, oh, what's my HDL? What's my planet Earth is burning up because of our lust for animal flesh. That's why we're cutting down the forest. That's why the rivers are running dry. That's why the soil is blowing away. And when people ask, what gives me hope? What gives me hope are young people and the internet, because we want to get the message out. You know, that burger you love so much, that's what is going to kill your ecological future. You're so afraid of it's the meat you're eating. It's the animal industries that are destroying your future. And if the word goes out among the young people, stop eating that crap. That's what's killing us. Then we're going to see big changes here. And again, it's the communicators to get this message out. And that's why I was so glad to get your invitation to speak with you today, because there's huge ecological implications from either a meat-based diet or a plant-based diet. Plant-based diet will heal the planet as well as us.
Yeah, and I don't think, I know it's an obvious, it's obvious to us, right? That is our whole mission, right? Is to help people get healthier and help this planet get healthier. Why are people so, they don't want to take responsibility? They want to go to a doctor to get a prescription and they want to think that somebody else is going to take care of this planet. But it starts with us, and it starts with what you said, going to the supermarket and eating out at a restaurant. Those are the two things that we do on a daily, if not weekly, a daily and a weekly basis, that where we can make these small changes. And I just feel like that impact needs to be broadcast. That's why we have this podcast. That's why we have guests on here like yourself, where you are a medical doctor. You have been in medicine for 50 years. You have done so many things and been on so many committees and podcasts, and you're really spreading the word. You are the impact that we need and the voice that we need. And I just so appreciate you being here today to talk a little bit more about this, because coming, I don't have a medical degree, but yet I align with you on exactly what you are studying from that scientific and functional medicine doctor badge that you wear, right? We need you to spread that information out. Coming from a doctor, it's so much more impactful than people that listen to me, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're a health coach, so that's your opinion. It's not, yeah, it is my opinion, yes, but it's a factual opinion that I know 100%. I can back it up with scientific evidence, but coming from a doctor, it's really impactful, and we just so appreciate your voice. And I want to hear a little bit about this new book we have coming out, Moving Medicine Forward. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, as I was saying, the message of the healing power of plant-based nutrition is so powerful that once I understood it and started using it in my medical practice and saw that these are largely reversible diseases, I was saying, so, somebody should tell the medical students this before pharmacosclerosis sets in their brain. And the little voice inside my head said, how about you, doc? And so for the last 4 years, I've been going to the medical schools and giving a lecture, what I wish I learned in medical school about nutrition. And the students have been very receptive. And finally, somebody, you ought to put this in a book, Doc. And so hence the title Moving Medicine Forward presented itself. And the book is largely directed to medical students and doctors, saying this is these are the diseases you're looking at. Here's how these are food-driven diseases, and here's how a plant-based diet will reverse them. But it's also for the patient, for the lay public should read this book so they know what their doctor ought to be asking them at their next visit and what the doctor should be focused on. And so everybody would be wiser by reading this book and understand the power of plant-based nutrition, certainly to prevent, if not reverse disease. And so my co-author, Glenn Mercer, and I think we wrote a very readable book here. But I invite people also to go to our website, movingmedforward.org, movingmedforward.org. And on the website, you'll see the talk that I give to the medical students. So what I wish I learned in medical school about nutrition. And the public can see my lecture. And you don't have to be a doctor or a scientist to understand. It's pretty basic English. And so people can immerse themselves in the understanding of how a plant-based diet reverses disease, and they have something to give to their doctor or give to their significant other. This is why we want to be changing our diet towards a plant-based one. So it's a book that's unfortunately needed at this time, and it'd be a good one to drop off at your family doctor's office at the next visit. It's available on Amazon for pre-order, and so people go to Amazon, you can pre-order it, and you'll get the very lowest price for it. The more people pre-order, the lower the price Amazon can charge. So hopefully, I'd like to get some benefactor to buy 1,000 of them, and we'd give them out to every graduating medical student. I'd give it as part of their graduation gift. They should all be reading this as they go into private practice on their own.
Is there, do you see that there's a possibility that your book or maybe parts of your book can be incorporated into the curriculum of these in medical school of these doctors?
Oh, absolutely. We were I gave a lecture at the University of Washington in Seattle, and after the lecture, a professor came down, professor of surgery, he says, that's all very nice, doctor, what you just said, but until the National Board of Medical Examiners starts asking about nutrition on the National Board exams, we're not going to be teaching this stuff. It's enough to teach them physiology and pharmacology. And I said, yeah, I guess that's right, but we can't let that stand. So we went to the National Board of Medical Examiners and said, what do you guys need to start putting nutrition questions on the National Board exam? And they said, well, we don't know we don't know the questions to ask. And so they went to the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and said, would you guys make up 1,000 nutrition-based questions, which they've just finished doing, and we've returned them to the national board. So they're going to be starting to have nutrition-based questions on the national board exams. And we're also making up a curriculum to be taught in medical schools. So they have no excuse. We're going to be seeing this information gets incorporated because the public demands it at this point. The public's way ahead of the profession on this one. And the carnivore static aside, the people know that food is important. When every other American is going to be obese by 2040 or something, that's obscene. That we've got to turn the ship around here. So it's a timely book, and the business we can no longer afford medicine with business as usual. If we're just going to see the patient and raise their dose of beta blockers and raise their dose of insulin, they're all going to get fatter and sicker and die of their heart attacks and strokes. Um, that kind of business as usual in medicine, it's a losing proposition for the patient. They lose the opportunity to actually reverse their disease if the doctor plays the standard doctor-patient relationship. It's a losing proposition for the doctor. They lose the chance to the most gratifying moment of medicine to see your patient regain their health right before your eyes. I ask them in those slides, what are you going to medicine for? If you want to heal these patients or don't you? Why are you going into medicine? You want to heal them. They get real by why they're sitting in front of you with these bodies overweight, hypertensive, atherosclerotic, diabetic, and inflamed from what they're freaking eating every 4 hours, doctor. And unless you pay attention to that, you're going to be treating symptoms and you'll leave medicine. It's a discouraging way to practice medicine. If we do business as usual, society loses. Not only every heart attack or stroke takes out a creative citizen, but they also take out a taxpayer. So we all have to pick up their financial burden. The the medical system loses with business as usual. For the trillions of dollars we are spending to do these $500,000 coronary bypasses and 3-week hospital stays for what? So the patient can go out, head to the fast food restaurant and start eating more cheeseburgers. That's money that could be spent sending kids to college, to fix the roads, put internet in everybody's house. It's a waste of money to be spent on our healthcare system. Heavens knows the animals lose from business as usual. 80 billion of these innocent creatures get their throat cuts every year because we like the way their flesh tastes, even though we don't need it nutritionally. And the planet loses as the forests are disappearing, the rivers are drying up, the soil's blowing away from devoting all our energy to producing animal flesh. So all the way around, business as usual is a losing proposition on every level. It's time to turn the page. Well, what about fish? We've used fishing up. We are clear cutting the oceans. We are strip mining the oceans with these 10-mile long fishing nets that scoop up every living creature. People say, well, I only eat wild caught fish. For every wild caught piece of fish on your plate, there are dozens of of drowned seabirds and sharks and whales and dolphins that are drowned in those nets. We've used fishing up. It's time to let the fish off the hook. It's time to let the oceans heal. And we've used meat eating up. It doesn't matter what the cowboy is in our past lore. Turn the page on that. We've got to become plant-eating creatures again, like we were in ancient times. And Mother Nature's, flashing those red lights. Homo sapiens, you want to keep living on this planet? Adopt a plant-based diet. Your arteries will benefit, you'll benefit personally, but the planet will heal. If we go to a shift our human diet to a plant-based one, everything will get better. The forest will come back, and as trees grow, they take carbon dioxide out of the air and turn it into solid wood, so it reverses global warming. But so the temperatures start coming down, but the oceans will heal. The rivers will run clean again without all the eroded soil and manure and fertilizers. The soils themselves will stop eroding off the corn and soybean fields. The oceans will go, everything will get better, along with our personal health. So the plant-based life is shining brightly here. And again, it's people like you in this podcast to help put the light out of people's heads so they choose the bean chili instead of the beef chili. It makes all the difference in the world, literally.
Yeah. And I also like the misconception I hear all the time from friends and clients and my patients that I work with is, oh my God, what do I eat? And I'm like, you eat food. You're just taking the steak, the chicken, the turkey, the fish, you're taking that out. But to start off with, there's a swap that's easier, that's an easy swap that you don't feel like you're missing it. I mean, plant-based food, especially plant-based proteins, has come such a long way. I've been vegan for 25 years now. And I mean, back when I first became vegan, there was not a lot of choices. Now you can buy 81 different kinds of plant-based cheese. I mean, there are options. And you just have to
Yeah.
open up your eyes. They're in every regular grocery store. It's not like I have to go to a specialty store.
Absolutely. One of the excuses my colleagues make as for why they don't talk to their patients about nutrition, well, it's a cultural thing. I can't tell an East Indian man what to be eating. I can't tell a Hispanic patient. Yes, you can, doctor, and you'll find out that they already have a rich traditional cuisine from their culture. The Indian folks know how to make plant-based lentils dals and tikka masalas, and the Hispanic folks know how to make bean burritos and bean tacos, and the Italians can make pasta primavera with lots of vegetables and the red sauce instead of meat. They're already eating this. It's just a matter, as you say, putting that plant-based twist on it. And the food is delicious. The sauces and the spices are there no matter what's under them. So you're right. It's time to take that bold step, but it's really not that big a step. To choose the bean chili instead of the beef chili, and all that implies.
What's your favorite plant-based, what your go-to favorite plant-based meal?
Oh, my wife makes a dynamite Buddha bowl, and something a nice big wooden bowl, and put a nice layer of keema on the bottom, put a bunch of greens on it, some more steamed veggies, and then want her delicious tahini dressing on top of it, and I'm a happy guy for a main dish, while she's cutting up a mango or papaya, whatever, for dessert. Uh, she's a passionate advocate for the animals, and so she really has become an excellent vegan chef, and I'm a lucky guy. She's not only beautiful, but she's vegan and a good cook. So thank you, God, for bringing that blessing into my life without question.
That's amazing. I'm very envious. My family is not vegan, and it is very hard on me.
Oh,
I don't I
wow.
don't I don't cook it though. I pretty much make my own meals.
That's just so important because there's lots of people in that position, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And I admire you and encourage you, and it puts you in a good position to teach others how to handle that. And you do it with love and creativity and good food and being socially aware. If they're not ready yet, then honor that. They may or may not ever wake up. If they do, great. If they don't, that's their choice. But the most important thing to do is set a good example and do it lovingly and with humor and just not an issue. This is the way I eat. This is the way I think we must eat, and just do it yourself. And I bet you have lots of tips if you're making a stew or a soup, whatever. You take your own out before you add your husband's meat in, or however it works. But it's doable. People say, "Well, we can't do it. My husband isn't." Just do it. Your coronary arteries don't care about your husband's choices here. Do it for yourself and what you know is right. And again, I can lay my head on the pillow every night, eat with an easy mind, knowing that I didn't contribute to the death of any animal. I didn't contribute to the cutting down of the rainforest, and just know that you're on the right path, and that needs to be all that's required at this point. And so you're doing the right thing. I really admire you and applaud you for staying vegan all these years despite the headwinds. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that what is it easier to not, is it easier to eat like what mainstream America? Of course it is, because it's an easier way. But what's meaningful to me and what should be meaningful to you is your footprint, your health, why are we giving that power away, right? Doctors like you you're preventable. But most doctors are just band-aids, right? They're not really teaching and educating. So to me, what's meaningful to me is to not be in that position. I have control of my health, and I want more people to understand that they can take their health into their own hands by eating this way, and how good you feel all the time, and then what you are doing for the planet and my daughter's kids and her kids. I mean, it's just a very meaningful approach to life and doing no harm to animals. To me, it's also like doing no harm to any human living creature, right? Like it's not so separate. And I feel like if we can wrap our brains around that, like we share this planet. Taxpayers pay for other people that have health problems that they're not doing anything about on their own. It's not the problem of everybody else. It starts with us, and we need to, keep that North Star always focused on that. And you're right, by being an example and not being negative or like you were saying, and just being the spotlight. doing it for yourself, and then people will eventually start to go, huh, why is she never sick? Why is she never on any medicine? Huh, why is she this age and still doing pull-ups and push-ups and burpees and running and huh, something to it. I don't have, it's not just in my genes. I have healthy parents that are also vegan, but they became vegan after I gave them the China study book years ago, where I feel like your book is the today's China study, right? Because the China study has been out a long time.
Mhm.
So
Right.
I really think we need to take into account what is meaningful to us and really look at it in that way. Not like, oh, well, in the next 5 minutes, the flavor of that animal protein is so much worth so much more than the preventable diseases I could be causing myself and what I'm also doing for this planet and the future generations. It's like, how do people not think like that? And so I think people like you out there educating, as a doctor, as a lifestyle functional medicine doctor, and all the accolades that you have come so far with in your book. And it's important. So thank you again for being a voice and for being the example yourself. And how lucky are you to have this wife that cooks vegan? And I just love all that. So Amazon is where we can get the book, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes. You can pre-order it and they'll keep the price down for everybody. So just go to Moving Medicine Forward. It's already on Amazon.
And if people wanted to get in contact with you, if they had questions or anything about what we've talked about, can they reach out to you through your Instagram?
Through our website, movingmedforward.org. And you can reach
Moving
me
Med,
there. But I'm on Instagram as well, but it's hard to keep correspondence going through there. It's easier through email through our website, movingmedforward.org.
movingmedforward.org. Okay, great. And what is the one thing, if we missed anything today, that you would want our listeners to know?
Your body is never not looking. Okay, there's no fooling it. Okay, we are plant-eating hominids, and you can't tell your body, "Go over here and have a cheeseburger there." I mean, well, what was that? Your bloodstream runs with that fat for hours, and so Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." Dr. Klaper says, "To thine own health be true." And if you're not already plant-based, start finding ways to get a plant-based breakfast going. Oatmeal and fruit and plant milk. Make a plant-based lunch, a soup and salad and a sandwich, but make it a hummus sandwich or some plant-based entree, and find a way to make a plant-based dinner, spaghetti with pasta primavera, whatever. Just your own taste preferences, but find a way to get plant-based meals into your daily diet, and know that it makes a difference. Makes a difference in your own personal health. Makes a difference certainly makes a difference to the animals. Someone said, the cow doesn't care why you don't eat her. She is happy that you don't. And it's going to make a difference for our planet. People in my generation have caused such damage, and we've really imperiled the future of everybody who's coming after us. And it's the meat, it's industrial animal agriculture that's driving destruction, and it's up to us to stop eating that stuff and go plant-based for that reason alone. So plants are where it's at, so find a way to get more and more plant-based in your diet and your lifestyle choices, and everything will get better, including your own health there. And I want to thank you. You're an excellent interviewer, and you've brought out some such important points to help motivate people and educate people, because you're the guys who are going to lead the way towards the change that we all need to undergo. So thank you for this invitation.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today.